Hello gorgeous, I am back today, and today I have a really requested topic for you, and then I also have sort of a semi mini vlog that I filmed earlier today, and so I'll put that at the end of this video. So anyways, so many people, I was shocked at how many people reached out to me on YouTube and Instagram asking me to watch and review the Netflix series called Indian Matchmaking. Well, I was a little confused because I had actually already watched that show a couple of years ago, and I didn't realize that they actually had a brand new season. And when I got so many requests, I went and looked it up, and I'm like, oh, there's a new season. And apparently the show is way more popular the second time around. So I'm going to do a quick review and share some key things and points that I noticed watching that show. And then I'll also come on live this Friday and do like a full analysis of all of the characters with you live. I want to begin this by talking about the Indian culture and where I fit into that. So my parents I'm Pakistani American. Pakistan is a very kind of small country that used to be a part of India. And so my dad was actually born in India, and then the country, split up, and then he was Pakistani and my mom was Pakistani. So I'm Pakistani American because that's where both of my parents were like raised, and I was born in the United States, but I understand the Indian culture very much because Pakistan is actually sort of a hybrid of Indian culture and Middle Eastern culture. So I like to make the joke that if India and like certain Middle Eastern countries had a baby, it would be the Pakistani community, because we do get inspiration from both of those cultures. So arranged marriages are the norm in Indian culture and Pakistani culture. Like that's just the main way that you get married. In fact, it is so mainstream that anything other than that is called a love marriage. Like we actually have a name for love marriage because it's so unusual in our culture. Of course, with the new generation, more and more people being born in the United States and like also being influenced by Western culture, it is becoming more and more norm to choose your own partner. And along with that, you do see a rise in divorce rates and marital issues and things like that. I love arranged marriage. I believe that it's just such a solid and foolproof way to find a life partner and make sure that that family and the guy has similar values to you and your family, and that you have just like you're unified in where your life is going. So I actually absolutely love arranged marriage. Now let's talk about the show. As someone who is a feminine energy expert and a relationship expert, like there was just a lot of cringe moments on this show, obviously for me doing what I do, because I see that actually I'm just gonna go down the list and just share with you what I was experiencing. So number one I want to talk about is that Seema Auntie, which is like the main character that the show is based on, she is the Indian matchmaker. I can see in her that like, and without knowing anything about her, what I see when I see her is a woman that was very successful in her art, in her craft, and then like the times changed, and all of a sudden now she's working with clients that are way more Americanized, westernized, and they have like a long laundry list of people that her previous clients were just not interested in or asking for. It was just not trendy or like a thing to ask for those qualities. And so I think her response to that is like immediately saying to people that you're only gonna get like 60 to 70% of your list, and they don't show us we want to keep in mind that we're only seeing what they're showing us. Typically with reality shows, there's like 24 hours of like filming, which we see like in a 30-minute segment, right? Like it's a lot that you don't get to see because of the way that it's edited and whatever makes the cut. So at least from what I've seen in the show, they have not shown us where she explains to them what she means when she says 60 to 70% of what you desire will manifest in this partner. I kind of agree with her, but here's what I'm gonna explain this to you. So I always advise all of my clients and students to have a love list, and your love list should be 3 different categories, right? Your basic requirements are like your core values, right? These are things that if someone doesn't match them, it is just not going to work out, right? All of the research that we have, new research, and then all of the width of time stuff we have from our Eastern culture shows that values are important, right? That's what they're looking for in arranged marriage, and that's what the recent research is actually shows if this marriage is gonna last or not. So your basic requirements are your values. These are things that if these are a no-go, then you could love the person, but it's probably not gonna work, or it's gonna be a bumpy ride because of your mismatched values. So those are your basic requirements. The second category is your satisfiers. These are things that are like, these are things that will just like, it's the cherry on top. This will like sweeten the deal. Now, how I feel about my satisfiers is I'm okay with getting that a little bit later. So for example, communication was really important to me. It is a key in marriage, right? So, but when I met and married my husband, we weren't the best communicators, but I also knew that this is a cosmetic issue, not a foundational issue, because communication is something that is not a core value. It is something that's learned, right? So I knew that my husband and I over time can become better communicators. We can learn to communicate better with each other. So that is a satisfier. Of course, if I could have just met someone that like just communicated brilliantly with me, that would be awesome, but it's not a deal breaker because it's something that we can both grow into and evolve into, and we did. So that's something to me that it's the 60-70% that she talks about. That's the category. Like those are things that they don't really matter as much because you can either learn them or they're just things that fade anyways, like looks, right? Like who's gonna care 20 years later if the guy looks good but he's like not matching your core values and you don't get along, right? So those are the things I filter out for in the beginning because, like I said, those are more cosmetic things. The third category is the delighters, right? These are things that are like, oh my God, would be nice, but it's not a deal breaker. And again, in the delighter category, a lot of things that I now have in my life and in my marriage are delighters. They delight me so much. We certainly did not have them when we got married, but over time our desires changed, our communication patterns changed, how we wanted to live our life changed, and so over time we were able to delight our way into it, okay? So when she says that you're only gonna get about 60 to 70% of your list, I think that maybe she did clarify it to them. We didn't get to see this, but I feel like that's how I would explain it. That get like the 60-70% of your core values right with this person, and everything else you can work through later on. Okay, number 2 thing that I noticed right off the bat from watching this show, both season 1 and season 2, is that what I realized is that, I knew this, but it's very evident in watching this show, is that polarity is learned, it is not inherited. We are looking at a culture, Indian culture is just so rich and vibrant in its history. A lot of the feminine energy trainings actually come from the Eastern culture, right? It comes from ancient China and ancient India, like all of these like deeply yummy, delicious polarizing polarity, masculine, feminine, yin yang teachings. So they know this stuff. It's like in their DNA. They are the teachers of everyone else. But the new generation has lost that art. And what you see a lot on the show is women, girls, modern day, so the show shows you Seema Auntie's life doing matchmaking both in the United States and in India. So you see her going back and forth. And what I'm seeing is that especially in the Indian Americans that they're showing, they're not really understanding polarity, even though it's so deeply ingrained in our culture. But the Western culture with like equality and women just like proposing and going for what you want and chasing and leaning in, which are really good qualities to have at work, are really not translating well in relationships. So here it goes to tell you that this is not like something that, oh well, I was born in the wrong culture, so like now I just don't know. Well, here's a culture that pretty much invented this stuff. It's really deeply ingrained in the culture, but even these women can lose that art, just like I did, just like you probably did, being very westernized and masculinized. And so you do see a lot of that happening. There's a couple characters that I just love on this show, and it's like, girls, just don't chase them. Don't do that, you know? And so, yeah, so number 2 is that polarity is learned, not inherited. You can be born into a culture where it's so built in. Everyone's a provider in that culture, like they're just raised that way, but you see what's happening. Now, Pakistan, like I mentioned, is a newer nation, and so we're not that far off yet, but you see it happening with Pakistani Americans as well, with them now choosing their own partners, you know, marrying same age, and, you know, women chasing. You see the same thing kind of trickling down. So wherever you lose polarity in relationships, wherever you forget the art of relationship, you're gonna have the same problems regardless of your culture. Number 3 thing that I want to kind of sum up this segment of Indian matchmaking, and I promise you I'll go into all of the yummy characters and give you guys my expert analysis on Friday on the live stream, which I will link below in case you want to turn on notifications, is that if you chase a man, even if he's interested in you, he will run. And you see it happening on the show. I feel like there were so many close misses like on the show where the guy was interested, the girl was interested, and the girl was chasing, and the guy just kind of either stalemate or like kind of like distance himself, and then it didn't work out. So again, in any culture, whether he's interested or not, laws of polarity, you chase a man and puts him in the feminine, and now he's leaning back. The other thing I want to say, what I would have loved to see on the show is more of the success stories, because I know that, you know, Seema Auntie is this really amazing, huge matchmaker in India, but like you don't see them showcasing any of her success stories. In fact, the few success stories that they actually showed were people, her clients, who went and found someone on their own. And I think that's really a disservice to her, because she is quite successful. Arranged marriages work, they're actually quite brilliant. And my on both sides of my family, it's all arranged marriages, right? So like I've seen the success rate of them, and they really work. And I know that this woman has a lot of success stories. I'm just confused why Netflix is not showcasing more of that. I don't know if that got edited out because it wasn't interesting, but I want to see more of her success stories and the couples that actually worked out. Another side note is that my 2 favorite characters on the show that were actually doing polarity really, really well, both happened to be women that were, well, one was actually in India and the other one had come from India quite recently. So I thought that was really interesting that the women that do have polarity and are doing this correctly on the show happen to be like more rooted in the culture rather than the ones that are more Americanized and westernized. Because here, look, as someone that was born and raised in the United States, it's very easy to adapt into like the Western culture, because that's how you believe you're going to be successful. That's what you think you're supposed to be doing. So it's very easy to lose that. I know I lost it and I had to really come back to my roots. But I think what personally I would, like if I ever got a chance to be on a show like this, or if Seema Auntie or any of the girls are watching, what this show desperately needs is coaching and training on feminine and masculine energy. And it's not like the Indian culture does not understand this. They know this so well. In fact, I think the reason that they haven't talked about this in the show is because they're taking it for granted. This is so ingrained in our culture that you don't even talk about it. It's just something that's known. And because of that, I think they're missing that this newer generation may actually not be aware that they've been conditioned out of that true foundational stuff. So let me know if you have seen the show, and if you have, who are your favorite characters? Do you notice any of the things that I've noticed? What else have you noticed with the show that you would work on, improve on? By the way, I do want to mention that I love all of the characters in there, and I see my old self in a lot of their struggles and what they're going through and their desires. So this is not to put anyone down. It just shows you that our planet is just in a state of confusion when it comes to relationships, because we've really forgotten our values and that core art of polarity, and that actually all attraction is created through polarity, right? And we really need to go back to learning this and embodying it if we want to really have those really yummy and juicy relationships that I know the divine masculine and feminine desires. Okay, so I will do a longer live stream on Friday, and I'll let you see the vlog footage now. Hello gorgeous, I am back today, and I haven't done a vlog on this channel in a hot minute. I usually do my vlogs on my $1 Million Babes channel, so I thought, you know what, let's switch it up and do a vlog style here today. So I'm gonna start with sharing my outfit with you in a second. Today I am teaching in the Divinely Souled Lesson 5 class. I can't believe it's week 5 already. Like, I feel like we just started. And so I'm teaching that, and then after that, my husband had asked me on a lunch date, and I also needed to go see the property for the Houston intensive that's happening on January 16th, my 5th annual New Year intensive. And so I'm like, okay, well, let's just, you know, make it all in one thing. We're gonna go see the property, and then I've got to do a little bit of shopping at Sephora, and then he's gonna take me to lunch. And so that's the plan for today. Let me show you my outfit. Hey babe, I usually put my outfit details on Instagram, but I'll go ahead and link all of the items that I'm wearing in the description box below. Guys, so we're valeting the car here. I'm not gonna say the name of the property yet, but for the Houston intensive, we're gonna go check out the rooms. I actually had to cut out my voice because there was music playing in the background, and I didn't want to get a copyright strike on YouTube. But anyways, we are checking out the property, and we really like this place for the intensive. But after that, we went ahead on our day date. We love going on dinner dates, but we also love going on lunch dates now that the kids are in school. We'll usually do lunch and some shopping and things like that. We've been trying a lot of new restaurants near our new neighborhood. This restaurant, the food was amazing, but it was very, very packed and noisy, which my husband and I don't mind. Sometimes we like choosing quiet restaurants so we can talk, but honestly, polarity is created when you're not talking. It's created through body to body relating. And so since the restaurant was so busy, we ended up using that opportunity to create more polarity from the body, and it was just a very romantic date. We had some ice cream, some dessert. Irfan actually went to go get the car because my shoes were hurting a little bit, my heels, because we were walking around. So we're gonna get the car, maybe hit Sephora, and then head home so I can go pick up the kids. On the way back, my husband noticed that I was low on gas, so he's filling up my car. By the way, I forgot to mention that when we go out, my husband always drives. In fact, in my almost 14-year marriage, I've only driven once, and that was because my husband needed this like procedure done, and he was like, you know, he needed someone else to drive, like he wasn't legally allowed to drive. And so whoever is driving in the relationship, whether it's you or your partner, is in the masculine. So the masculine keeps time and space and direction. So whoever is driving is in that moment in the masculine. And I honestly hate driving, and would much rather have someone else drive me around. So it really works out. Tea time. To have my vitamins right after having lunch, but since we ate out, I am having them now. I'm gonna have this drink. This is a pineapple flavor, and it's so good. This is from Costco. And then I'm taking my hair vitamins, probiotics, iron, all the things that I take. After that, I had a little bit of time to go check out the gazebo in daylight. We just recently had this painted and I absolutely love this area. It's like my sweet little spot for journaling and meditating, and we're going to have a fan actually put on it this week as well, so I'm super excited to see how it looks.